¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Tuesday. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, no spoilers, please. I haven't seen it either. Welcome, everybody. Kamikazion, welcome. Derry Bennett, Heat, Michael Hasser, Footlong, Blue Brother, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Hey, hey. Wolfgang, welcome. My daughter saw it, but I did not. No, I have not seen it either. I have not seen it either. Supposedly from the trailers, it looks pretty freaking good. It looks pretty good. Good evening. Yikes. I hope you're doing okay, Heat. Weird Republicans. Yeah, we'll talk briefly about that. Folks, man, I gotta say, and suddenly Trump was misunderstood when he announced the end of U.S. democracy. What a surprise. Yeah, we got a follow-up to that one. We talked about it yesterday, and we got a follow-up on that one. If you like the first two, this one's better. The Deadpool 3 movie. Okay, that's good to know, because I actually like the original Deadpool movie. I don't think I've seen the second one with Cable. So I gotta check that one out. Folks, before we get started, the usual disclaimers. Check out all the awesome social media stuff, okay? Consider liking the stream on YouTube, subscribing on YouTube. Folks, consider also checking out the new merch store. By the way, the new merch store is actually pretty freaking decent. It is way better than what we had going on previously, and I'm pretty happy about it. In fact, I have the little backpack, the little backpack on me actually right here. Trump has said that he would be a dictator more than 3 times. How many times can they try to explain it away as a joke or misunderstanding? They can try all they want. I mean, they can try all they want. We've seen enough, in my opinion. Show us what you got. All right. And just like that, it's gone. Give me 1 second. All right. Check it out. Look at this. Look at this cool stuff, huh? Look at it. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? I think it's cool. I have a little Sprite Ninja pop out and throw down a smoke bomb and poof, it's gone. Exactly, that's what happened. Globus the Elder, welcome. Looks cool, thank you. I think it looks pretty cool. I have never seen such a good, kind of like print-on-demand company that does pretty good work, and this one's pretty freaking decent. Even the one that I had before was pretty okay. In fact, I still have t-shirts that I got for myself, and they're still going. I already gushed about it on the Discord, which you should join, by the way. Join the Discord, okay, before we get started. If you haven't done so, join. So yeah, that's a thing that happened, folks. That's a thing that happened. The new merch store is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's got a nice modern look. It's ready, folks. The only thing left is to add more stuff, which I will throughout the time, and give it its own custom domain name, and that's about it. Once again, folks, I appreciate you guys. Make sure you join the Discord, and let's get started. Do you have any teas in the vicinity? Oh, not in the vicinity. They're about to get washed, but once they do, I'll wear one. The next time it gets washed, or it comes out of the wash, I should say, I'll wear one. And they have there's a t-shirt that is just printed on, and there's a t-shirt that is actually like sewed on like a patch, and that's not going away. Okay, that patch is well done. I actually have one, so as soon as it's done with the wash, I'll wear it the next time. The next time it's available, after it gets dry. Got hats? I have one hat so far. No, I have two. I just have like the regular cap, like the trucker cap, and I have and I have a beanie, of course. Of course I have a beanie. That's very important. So I've got a beanie, and I've got like a regular trucker hat. I need to add another just regular like ball cap without the open back. So I mean, there's plenty of stuff that I need to add, and I will as I go on. But yes, there are two hats currently. I will say, ADT, as a second thought, you do need to watch Deadpool 2 before 3. It has some stories like, got it, okay. Yeah, so I'm going to have to watch that and then Deadpool 3. Got it. Why did I suddenly think about golf? Big fan of ball caps. Me too. Funny enough, I have a bunch of them. I like beanies. I got my classic beanie that most of the time is with me, and ball cap, or just like regular like baseball caps. All right, I need one of those. Yeah, I'm gonna make just a regular ball cap. Jane Doe, howdy. People do comment on my ADT hoodie sometimes when the weather is cooler. Nice. Brandon is hating life and Trump is coping and seething. Well, we'll talk something about that. Apparently, Republicans are getting very, very sensitive about being called weird, which, by the way, they are. and apparently they're being very, very sensitive about that. The F your feelings crowd is suddenly having a lot of feelings about being called weird. So let's talk about it.
This is not weird. He's like pretty much as normal as
They don't want to admit it. Yeah, like look at the cope. All right, we're 2 seconds in. Okay, we're 2 seconds in, and we're dealing with the cope.
JD Vance is not weird. He's like pretty much as normal as they get.
According to the left, what makes you weird is believing that it is actually
We're good weird. They're bad weird. Easy clap. Exactly. They are weird. Really? That's news to me. Personally, I don't even care. Okay? It's just the fact that it irks them so much that I find it hilarious. Have you seen the pic of JD Vance in a CCP shirt? Yes, I have. And that's just like gold, right? That's just gold. Like that's the kind of stuff that like it sounds like satire. It sounds like that should have been satire, but it's not. That's a real picture, a real thing that happened.
of moral benefit to the United States for people to have children.
Weird. Everything about, again, Vance is weird. Does Vance actually have a
That's
problem?
not true. Wait. Hold on, stop it. That's not actually true.
Believing that it is actually of moral benefit to the United States for people to have children.
Weird.
How? How is it morally beneficial for people to have children? What if those children end up being bad? Like, this is some like absurd line of logic that it is moral and morally beneficial to the United States to have children. That's not true. That's not how that works. Having children does not automatically mean it is beneficial. It can, I suppose. But I don't think it's absolute. It's nuclear family-ish. The core of Western society is the nuclear family. Gotcha. It's morally, which makes me think. Yeah, hasn't had child, but had fun creating them.
Weird. Everything.
Believing that it is actually of moral benefit to the United States for people to have children.
Weird. Everything.
That's weird. That's a weird line of thinking there, Ben. They think it makes you more loyal. Pete Buttigieg had a great response. He was serving his country in the military before adopting his kids. He was pretty committed to the country. Right, like I don't it's just weird. It's probably some like there's probably some underlying like fascistic thinking. Because they think of the nation as like an actual entity. Religious people believe it's morally right to have as many kids as possible for religious reasons. Right, but that doesn't even make any sense because, like, what if all those kids don't end up being religious themselves? What they mean to say is our whole economy is based on consumer spending, and for some people, they need more white babies. Gotcha. Americans have the least devotion to family of any large nation on earth. No one wants to live with their parents or grandparents. Seniors live alone. That's a good point. That's true, Redmond Barry, because we have capitalism makes it so that society, a hyper-capitalist society, makes it so that this is more and more likely, right? Republicans call people pedos because they dress differently but feel bad being called weird because the obsessed over old orange dude that said that advantage to owning the children beauty pageant was being able to go in and look at them change clothes. Right, and like nobody bats an eye. about that, by the way. That's a real thing that happened. Nobody bats an eye. Right, they see it as a numbers game. Gotta outbirth the others. The more kids you have, the higher the chances they will be religious. Simple statistics. Or some of them will be religious. I suppose. Yeah, that's true.
About, again, Vance is weird. Does Vance actually have a problem?
If you're going to accuse someone of having sex with a couch, you better have video.
Ah, man. It's a white supreme pizza.
New insult out this week that her and her husband have been using towards you, calling you weird. Does that hurt your feelings? How do you feel about that?
No, not at all. It doesn't hurt my feelings.
Not at all. Not mad, by the way.
So there's currently a PSYOP campaign underway by the weirdest people in America to convince all of us that JD Vance isn't actually weird.
A couch with a gym sock, maybe.
Contrary to popular belief and what we can see with our own eyes. But I mean, of course, the weirdest people in America are going to say that he's not weird because they're going to vouch for him, because if everybody thinks that JD Vance is weird, then of course they're going to also think that Ben Shapiro, Megyn Kelly, and others like Matt Walsh and Vivek Ramaswamy are weird as well. But I, for one, reject this gaslighting campaign because every normal person can see that JD Vance is indeed very weird.
Wait, did Vance not write a book about couch loving? Unclear. That matter has not been settled. Quite frankly, I don't care. I don't want to settle that matter. But as the facts stand, we actually don't know. We actually don't know, because apparently the AP did a piece where they said, well, the AP said no, he did not indeed have relations with that couch. And then they had to retract that because they can't confirm that he didn't have relations with said couch. Does that make sense? So we just, the long and the short of it is we don't know. Yeah, it's important to focus on what's actually wrong with that guy. That's true. He's a freak for other reasons, yes. I guess it was in his book, made movie on Netflix. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. This emote. James. Maybe it was the step couch.
Now, what's funny about this whole weird thing is that it's clearly getting under his skin. And even though he's trying to play it cool, you could tell it's hurting his feelings. So he hit back at Kamala on Twitter with a "no you," and by sharing this clip of Kamala Harris supposedly being weird herself. Now, here's the clip in question.
Okay, Hillbilly Elegy on Netflix. Gotcha. I refuse to read or listen to that book. I don't blame you.
And my pronouns are she, her, and hers.
She, her, and her. Mine too.
All right.
Kamala is finished. Got her. That's giving me drill vibes, specifically the tweet where he says, and another thing, I'm not mad. Please don't put in the newspaper that I got mad. That's JD Vance right now in a nutshell. Because she told the crowd her pronouns in that clip because she was speaking at a town hall specifically about LGBTQ plus issues. So the setting was appropriate for her to disclose her pronouns, and she was communicating to trans and non-binary people that she respects their pronouns and was sharing hers so they're not the only ones sharing theirs in case people ask. So even if you don't get it, it doesn't come across as weird. But what does come across as weird is shit like this.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs.
I want to find it in digital form so I can just go Control F couch and prove it that way. Have you not seen that movie? No, I have not.
by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made. And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris.
Oh, cool. Classic misogyny. Classic misogyny. Can we rewind that for a second?
Across as weird is shit like this.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made. And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's
Gotcha. Misogyny. It's simple. When Biden was running, Republicans had a clear strategy. With Harris' nomination, they have no idea how to attack her. Right, because from the Republican perspective, they really have nothing, right? They really have nothing. Like, what are they going to do? Like, attack her on what? All they've got is the two classics, right? Racism and misogyny. That's it. That's all they've got. Did they go on to call Pete a cat lady? No.
It's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it? This is not.
This is a common like theme throughout the far right, where they somehow deem people without children like less than people with children. The only way they can attack her was AI made up BS. Three-dimensional quantum dog whistles are next. Nah, this is just like this is just straight. This is just like mainlining. They're mainlining the racism. There's no dog whistles here. I mean, I guess some of them have been trying to use like DEI as part of as a dog whistle, but like, yeah, not much subtlety here. That's the point I'm trying to make. Not much subtlety. It's a big part of homophobia.
People are focusing so much on the sarcasm and not on the substance of what I actually said. And the
substance that you said was that you believe that people without children have less of a stake than people with children. They care about the future, so they have kids, but they don't care about climate change, so they don't care about the future. Right. This is nothing to do with that, right? You're absolutely correct, because like if they're saying that like people without children have less of a stake and therefore should have less of a voice in society, then like I would turn that around and tell them that maybe people who don't believe in climate change like he does in his party and his political movement, then maybe they shouldn't have as much of a voice in politics. So Republicans try what they're best in. They try to cook something out of thin air. Yeah, I mean, like if all else fails, just straight up misogyny and racism, because that always gets the crowd going for Republicans.
substance of what I said, Megan, I'm sorry, it's true.
Let's say Roe versus Wade is overruled. Ohio bans abortion. In 2022 or 2024. And then, every day George Soros sends a 747 to Columbus.
Oh, there it is. There's your three-dimensional quantum dog whistle right here, George Soros.
That's to load up disproportionately black women to get them to go have abortions in California. And of course, the left will celebrate this as a victory for diversity. That's kind of creepy.
Health justice is when we exterminate working class black people.
Something like that could, that would be a really weird turn of events that could happen. Yes.
And it's like, if that happens, do you need some federal response to prevent it from happening? Because it's really creepy.
So the implication here is that JD Vance wants to, by force, prevent people from crossing state lines to get medical treatments. That's the implication here. He wants to physically prevent people from crossing state lines to get medical attention. Yeah, Rented 747 by George Soros. The George Soros abortion Airbus. Welcome, Cognizant. Let me guess, those abortions are even performed after birth. Exactly. Exclusively. Okay. Exclusively. Kralia, welcome. A Boeing.
According to him, it's creepy to help women travel across state lines to get health care that they need, but it's not creepy to create a federal task force to literally track down women who cross state lines to get abortions and then punish them for it. That's weird. He wants to control what people can and can't do with their own fucking bodies, and he's hyper-focused on fertility and the fertility of women and arguing that women without children have less self-worth. And I'm sorry, that right there, that's turning off normal people. That's why this attack about him being weird, it resonates with so many people, because he's just fucking weird. Even Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports, who's a Republican,
the state controls your body even beyond its borders. I believe that's called being a subject rather than a citizen. Right. Which is massively unconstitutional. Yep. It's creepy because you made it up entirely, JD Vance. Yep.
Was outraged in response to an old video of JD Vance recommending a tax increase on childless people, and he called it idiotic, rightfully so. And on top of that, here's what Republican Tomi Lahren said about his childless cat lady comment.
Don't get too comfortable on the Trump side, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this later, but the attacks on her personally, on whatever her past personally may have been, or calling her a childless lady, none of those...
A childless cat lady, okay? Get it right. And second of all, launching these attacks are kind of your thing, okay? Are kind of the new, like the Trumpian thing. Did the Supreme Court made it constitutional? What do you mean?
Those are going to work, and they're going to make women second guess their support for what they may have felt for Donald Trump. Bad move.
Ooh, there are a lot of strong points in that for Republicans. I mean, depending on how much you love Donald Trump and do or don't.
Just to be clear, like, this is a losing strategy, okay? Because, like, they know that the weapons they have politically to attack Harris aren't as effective, okay? They aren't. Don't get me wrong. There are legitimate things that you can actually criticize Kamala Harris for, okay? But they're not things that Republicans can do, right? JD Vance is not weird. He's unambiguously creepy and ominously ghoulish. 100%. It's just funny that, like, this is what's getting under their skin, right? Like, this is what's triggering them. I find it hilarious. It is a losing strategy. I hope they keep it up. 100%.
Don't like his VP pick. Some of that was for JD Vance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's for
everyone.
Don't call women dumb. It just doesn't work on Republican women or liberal women.
Listen, I never thought that I'd say this, but Tomi Lahren is absolutely correct. What he says, his childless cat lady comment, among other comments he's made, his hyperfixation.
Yeah, never interrupt an enemy when they're making a mistake. Weird is wearing a Hawaiian shirt to a funeral. Any cool pervy college hazing rituals for Vance? Oh, man. Who, Cop Mala? What has the Biden administration done to make America great? Make America great. I'm not interested in making America great. I'm interested in, I don't know what that means. I don't know what making America great means. I don't know what that means. have an ultimate creeper competition between Vance and DeSantis? I don't know. I think Vance has the edge there. Less crime. Well, I have good news for you. Crime has been going down. Yes, crime has been going down.
On what people choose to do or not do with their own bodies. That is a turnoff not just to women, but men as well. Not just a turnoff to Democrats, but Republicans as well. Most normal people...
Crime has gone up? It hasn't. That's just delusional. It hasn't. Like, factually speaking, objectively, it hasn't. Crime has been on a decrease since, like, forever and a half. But hopefully crime goes down. Well, I have good news for you. Crime has been going down for decades. Okay? When I think of the term his judges, I can't help but think he almost considers those judges as his property. Yeah, well, he took credit for taking down Roe because he was the one that he was the one that put those judges in that made that possible. Yeah. The crime of being a goofy goober in chat is apparently running rampant. Yeah. This is certainly a troll.
Don't understand why anyone else would be obsessed with what other people choose to do with their own lives. And that's why the weird attack goes so hard, because it's instinctively true, but also substantive. And it's caught on so quickly that both Fox News and MSNBC have put together compilations of people calling JD Vance weird. And spoiler alert, there's been a lot of fucking people calling him weird because a lot of people can see the dude's really weird.
You know there's something wrong with people when they talk about freedom, freedom to be in your bedroom, freedom to be in your exam room, freedom to tell your kids what they can read. That stuff is weird. They come across weird. They seem obsessed with this.
They are obsessed. Conservatives are obsessed. Crimes executed by cops are increasing.
Using this fake living room to talk to you about a super weird idea from JD Vance.
Yeah, it's quite weird.
But what was weird was him joking about racism today and then talking about Diet Mountain Dew. Who drinks Diet Mountain Dew?
On the other side, they're just weird. I mean, they really are.
Some of what he and his running mate are saying, well, it's just plain weird.
It's not just a weird style that he brings. It's that this leads to weird policies.
That is weird behavior.
More extreme, more weird, more erratic.
I mean, on the other side, they're just weird.
The 32 ounces of weird.
Donald Trump and his weirdo running mate.
And by the way, they are weird.
It is bizarre. It's weird. It is weird.
JD Vance, just dumb Vance, is pretty weird.
Oh, Jesus. That nuke came out of orbit.
Kamala Harris is going to pick anyone as weird and creepy as JD Vance.
It demonstrates and shows us exactly what he believes in by selecting a JD Vance, who is quite, as the campaign said, weird.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of stuck because he's really fucking weird. And part of the reason why this attack is so genius is because it's non-falsifiable and there's really no proper way to respond to it. At best, you can just say, I'm not weird, you're weird, which is kind of what they're doing. But if you try to say he's not weird and explain why he's not weird, you're just reminding people that a lot of other people think that he's weird.
Right. It just gets worse because he is weird. Like, you can just keep pulling out clips and clips and clips and clips. Like, yeah, dude. Okay. There's no winning this battle, man. Dems using Republican-style word of the day strategy. Something like that.
Which you wouldn't have to do if they didn't think he was weird in the first place. So there's really no way to win in this situation. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think the best thing to do is to just ignore it. But they're not. They're Streisand affecting it. And even Vance himself is trying to know you, Kamala Harris, and say, actually, no, she's weird. But I mean, no, I'm sorry. That clip, you can say of her, people might not get it. They would think that maybe she is out of touch, per se, if they don't understand why she would share her pronouns, but it doesn't scream weird. Whereas all the things that you've said about women's reproductive health and their fertility, that is really fucking weird. But we've also seen this response from Republicans and the weirdest people in the country to counter these claims that JD Vance and Republicans like him are weird. And they're saying, I'm not weird. Democrats are weird because they love drag queens and whatnot. That's what Matt Walsh said. But I mean, this is a guy who has videos of him talking about the fertility of young girls. That's not normal. So again, the weirdest people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, man, of all people, like Matt Walsh having any input in this is fucking gold. The audacity that the dude who literally sold, I don't know if he's still selling them, but literally sold a baby version of himself in diapers to children, is now trying to say that the other side is weird? Okay, dude. Sure. I love how Trump was ready to go with someone else, and his sons and Elon Musk and someone else pushed him. You're thinking of Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel was instrumental in JD Vance's pick. They go low, we go to hell. F them.
People in the country are trying to say, actually, JD Vance is not weird. I vouch for him, fellow weird person. But what's funny is that in response, you have people showing why everybody else thinks that they're weird. For example, this person showed a photograph of Marjorie Greene consoling someone who was pretending to be a January 6th insurrectionist.
Yeah. I came out of that world. I had to reprogram myself to say I'm not weird for leaving a cult. They're weird for perpetuating it. Yep.
I mean, this is not normal behavior. When normal people see this, they think it's culty and they think it's weird. Then there's also MAGA rapper Forgiato Blow, who was recently featured at the RNC, and for some reason, there's a picture of him with a literal Trump sex doll, mouth open and all, ready to be fucked, which is so disturbing and weird, and it's creepy. Normal people don't have sex dolls of politicians that they support, right? So it's a political cult. And these people aren't just in a cult. They want to control every aspect of our lives. So they're just weird. That's why this attack slaps so fucking hard. Now, I don't really know where this attack originated, but one of the first people that I heard use it was Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who I hope Kamala chooses as her running mate. And I want to show you what he said about Trump and JD Vance. And I think that the way that he says it, this right here, is the perfect, compliment to this whole weird attack on JD.
I see a strategy. They pick JD Vance to dilute society, rendering policy stories that Trump has been putting out there. Maybe the Bernie sex doll was out of my price range.
Vance and Trump. So let's listen.
These guys are just weird. That's who they are. So it isn't much else. Don't give them the power. Look, are they a threat to democracy? Yes. Are they going to take our rights away? Yes. Are they going to put people's lives in danger? Yes. Are they going to endanger the planet by not dealing with climate change? Yes. They're going to do all that. But don't lift these guys up like they're sometimes the heroes. Everybody in this room knows, I know it as a teacher, a bully has no self-confidence. A bully has no strength. They have nothing. The fascists depend on fear. The fascists depend on us going back. But we're not afraid of weird people. We're a little bit creeped out, but we're not afraid.
That is very true. That is very true. No, that's pretty cursed, Footlong. Okay? That's pretty cursed. I love that normies are saying fascist out loud. Yep. I saw a great interview with Tim Walz last night. Tim Walz is good. Tim Walz is good. I genuinely hope that out of the choices that are left, I hope that he makes the cut.
that right there is why I think this line of attack has caught on. Republicans are bullies. J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, they are bullies, right? And we all know bullies lack self-confidence. They're usually bullying somebody else because they feel bad about themselves. I mean, look at how Donald Trump is obsessed with his own image. This is an old man who's still smearing orange on his face every single day. And I get that the whole orange mad bad thing, like that's an old trope, but it's still really weird. The fact that he unevenly applies tanner to his face, that's weird. It looks goofy. Not to mention all the clips of him talking about how he was attracted to his daughter Ivanka. That is not normal behavior, right? And
or the fact like how somebody in chat mentioned earlier that he literally owned teen beauty pageants and would reportedly walk in the dressing room because he owned the beauty pageants. They need to do a fundraiser where the people buy balls and they call it Balls to the Waltz. I see what you did there. I love how there was a Kamala golf cart parade in the Villages. I saw that. I saw pictures of that.
And the most hilarious thing that proves the efficacy of this attack is that somebody claimed J.D. Vance fucked a couch in Hillbilly Elegy. It's not true, but people believed it because it just seems like something that he would do. Why? Because these people are fucking weird. Christian nationalist authoritarian types always try to dictate how other people live their lives because they themselves usually have some sort of skeleton in their closet. I mean, how many anti-abortion Republicans have been caught paying for the abortions of their mistresses? How many anti-gay Republicans have been caught gargling cock behind closed doors? I mean, this fixation on other people's behavior is usually a clue that they're projecting in some way. Every accusation is a confession, right? And it's about time that—
Exactly. Every accusation is just a confession with these people. Trump will be taught one day in psychology class as the textbook definition of narcissism. He said in an interview that he could be dating one of the underage contestants in a few years if he wanted. Yeah, that's right. That's so freaking creepy. That's right. In a few years I'll be dating her. Yes, I remember that clip. Like, and people, these Trump supporters, don't care. They don't care.
That somebody pointed out the obvious. These people are fucking weird, and we're tired of these weirdos trying to dictate our lives. Now, what makes all of this even more funny to me is how Republicans are trying to respond. Here's one of my favorite examples.
I think of another thing that's weird. A party that claims to be the defenders of democracy launching a coup organized by a handful of party elites to oust their own leader. Yeah, and another thing weird.
What? Biden wasn't ousted. He was just told not to run again. Like, they didn't remove him from power, just to be clear. Okay, he's still the president. There's a reason Grindr always crashes from overuse during the RNC conventions. True. Trump's reversions are, well, too biblical to bother people, I guess.
Announcing radical changes to our Supreme Court because you've been on a losing streak. Expecting Americans to want to join our military when you say things like this about the country.
Wanting Supreme Court reform has nothing to do with losing cases, okay? I don't really like slathering of the label weird on these politicians because I'm weird, but I value self-determination, unlike the GOP. Yeah, but like we're talking about like the good weird and the bad weird. It's funny how they cry about Biden dropping out as denying democracy to Democratic primary voters, yet the vast majority of them support it. That's true. The vast majority of Democrats didn't want him to run. And the vast majority of Democrats wanted him to step down.
Country.
Racism is real in America, and it has always been. Xenophobia is real in America and always has been. Sexism, too.
Watch. And let's not forget one of the weirdest things of all. Spending hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wait, what was the point there? What exactly was the point there? I'm not understanding.
To redefine and reimagine a Democrat nominee whose radical policies appeal only to the far left.
Nuh-uh, Jid.
What radical policies make her far left? Can I get an example, please? Can I get an example of what policies Comrade Harris is presenting that are far left? Of course, she's never going to give you any of those examples. She's never going to give you any of those examples because they don't exist. Like what is it? What is a far left policy that Kamala Harris supports? Recognizing that racism and sexism exist is far left. True. Thinking children should have guaranteed food? Absolute communism. The day when the last person will be pulled over by police because of their race will never come.
JD Vance isn't weird. Here's Kamala saying something I disagree with. Isn't that so weird? Isn't what she's saying weird when she says that racism has always existed? How weird. Hey, dumbass, it's not inherently weird if you disagree with what somebody is saying. Again, what makes JD Vance weird in particular is his obsession with reproductive choices that other people make. It's not just the fixation, but it's also the policy implications behind his obsession with other people's lives. That's not something that normal working class people care about. It's a weird niche thing that Christian nationalist fascists like him obsess about.
Correct.
So the weird attack is very clearly getting under their skin, and for the first time, Democrats are all united in saying the same exact thing, which is encouraging because we've all seen how Republicans can twist reality and make people think that things that aren't true are true, like open borders or that Biden is a communist, by just saying it over and over and over again. You know, repetition can turn something that's not true into a widely believed thing. So if Democrats do the same thing with this attack, that's actually true, by the way, then they can, for once, actually take control of the narrative and not let Republicans monopolize political discourse. And it's nice to see so much energy and hunger from Kamala Harris's team. You know, that's something that I wouldn't have expected because I've just kind of become accustomed to Democrats, you know, taking the high road or doing the whole when they go low, we go high approach, which has been a demonstrable failure. I mean, they're freaks. And it's time we stop playing nice with these fucking weirdos, okay? When you're up against fascists, you have to fight fire with fire. So I'm relieved to see Harris's team.
True. Just being non-white and non-male makes any idea you have extreme left. True. Very true. It's a provable fact.
Understands that, and I'm glad to see Democrats, for once, show some signs of life and attack these goons for what they're doing, for what they fight for what they believe in. We don't want to live in their Christian theocracy, and it's time that we call this what this is. Their movement is weird, and they need to know that we think they're weird. Normal people think that they're weird.
Exactly.
Not only can you take a load.
Exactly. All right. Switching gears here, let's talk about Uber and capitalism.
A lot more luxurious. Ordering food delivery feels a lot more luxurious than it used to. Not because the food's gotten any better or the experience or anything really. It's just all gotten a lot more expensive. I put this order together on a delivery app and it came out to $36 with tip. But I'm a
$36. Getting anything delivered, Uber, DoorDash, it's incredibly expensive.
Guy. I usually order the same thing when I get Chinese food, so I went to my email and looked through some old receipts and saw that in 2019, the same exact order was only $19.27, $26 with inflation. We all know that ordering on the app has made things more expensive. But why? Look at all these fees. Service fee, okay, that makes sense. They're providing a service. Delivery. But then what's delivery fee? And this one irks me the most. The New York courier fee, which Uber defines.
Amazing. Fee because we want to give you a fee. $10. Considering how many times the term communist is used simply wrong, I suggest for it to be taught in high school. There's a lot of stuff that should be taught. Yeah, it's the fee.
Defines as offsetting new minimum wage laws. Minimum wage laws that the companies that make these apps lobbied to kill. It's almost like they're hiding the real reasons costs are so inflated by blaming being forced to give their drivers living wages. The real culprits for making food delivery.
And there it is, right? Profits over everything, folks.
Worse and more expensive are a handful of massive, billionaire-funded corporations.
And that is when it turns into the pile of shit. That is the final stage of enshittification.
And don't tell me I don't need to use these apps. Many restaurants no longer employ in-house delivery workers. And Uber and DoorDash have seized a duopoly on 96% of the on-demand food delivery service business.
That's wild. That is wild. The fee for letting our workers use their own data fee without paying them for it.
They've used that market power to convince us that we needed them to replace a system that was actually working just fine. That scam has made them immensely profitable. Uber's delivery business made $1.5 billion last year. That's a 173% increase from the year before. And DoorDash pulls in a ludicrous 49% margin on delivery. It's middleman capitalism, where a transaction that used to look like this—
I'm gonna order us some pizza. From where? From Sal's.
Now looks like this. And food delivery is just one example of how billionaire middlemen are taking your money and giving you nothing in return.
Yeah. Sounds about capitalism. We used to have 6 delivery companies in my city. And let me guess. 6 became 1, maybe 6 became 2.
Do you remember these ads from when the early iPhones came out?
If you want to check snow conditions on the mountain, there's an app for that. If you want to check how many calories are in your lunch, there's an app for that. Yep, there's an app for just about anything.
That catchy slogan symbolized a promise. Whatever you need, there's an app for it. The examples in the ad were for things that were handy to have a new tool for. And the transactions were simple. Either the apps cost $1 or a couple of bucks, other than the infamous I'm Rich app, which cost $1,000 and did nothing, or charged some subscription fee. But
amazing.
Importantly, most of what the apps did just existed on your phone. Existing web retailers like Amazon slowly began introducing apps, but there weren't many apps that provided real-life services for money. Even up through the early 2000s, food delivery was still the domain of Chinese, pizza, and diners. Restaurants saw delivery as an extra table, like as if the delivery guy were just another waiter getting paid a wage plus tips. And a lot of restaurants didn't offer delivery because it simply wasn't economical. SeamlessWeb, a company that originally just placed large restaurant orders for workplaces, pivoted to individual customers and became Seamless. And Grubhub launched with a bucket of venture capital money. These apps just connected users with the restaurant, who still used their own delivery guy. And Seamless and Grubhub charged the restaurants fees of $15.
We used to have 6 oh, now there's 3. It's even worse because Uber's owners has used his own service and abuses worker in the process. Makes that honestly tracks. I was gonna watch this, glad I didn't. Well, yeah, now you watch it with us.
To 25% and let restaurants charge whatever they want for delivery. Restaurants were pretty happy with this deal because of the volume, so it made it worth it to have a full-time delivery guy. And customers were happy because they had access to a whole new range of restaurants. In 2008 and 2009, a few tech millionaires came together with an idea. An app that would let you order a fancy black car at the push of a button. They named it Uber. To understand the kind of guy behind this, the idea was allegedly inspired by Uber co-founder Garrett Camp spending $800 on a private car to go out on New Year's Eve and finding that far too expensive. To understand the kind of guy the other co-founder, Travis Kalanick, is, here's a clip of him talking about how great Camp is.
When you open up that app and you get that experience of like, I pushed a frickin' button and a car showed up, and now I'm a pimp. Garrett is the guy who invented that shit.
Whew. Yikes.
Kalanick's old Twitter avatar was the cover of Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged, because he, quote, likes architecture.
Sure.
But everyone knows that's not what people read Ayn Rand for. That's like watching The Sopranos because you like pasta.
45 seconds, stir it up real nice.
At the same event as the pimp quote, about 2 years after the launch of Uber, Kalanick made their goal clear: to dominate and replace public and shared transportation.
Uber would not be where it is today if it weren't for a very special entity, the SFMTA.
That's the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency. Uber started as an SF exclusive, providing black cars that cost around 1.5 times a normal cab. In the next few years, Uber saw a ton of investment from venture capital funds and traditional investors. This huge influx of cash allowed them to do a simple trick: make Uber rides really cheap. Do you remember that, when an Uber was cheaper than a cab? The cheap cars let Uber dominate the market. Drivers from small taxi companies started Ubering because it's where all the customers were, and at the time, the wages were good. Riders started defaulting to Uber rather than trying to hail a cab or even take public transit, and everyone had the app on their phone. Uber had seized the market, and they had their eyes on another market: food delivery in 2014. But it doesn't make any business sense. The rides were cheaper than it possibly could cost to pay the drivers, cover other expenses, and still make a profit. How does any of this work? What's the business model? Cory Doctorow has a word for it.
Shittification is a theory I came up with to describe how platforms decay.
By platform, he means web platform. But this goes beyond the internet into real life. It's a three-phase process.
Phase one, the platform is good to its end users. The users pile in, they get locked in.
Think of Google or Facebook, platforms that started off free and were actually pretty good tools. Tools that slowly became nearly mandatory in modern life.
Phase two, confident that those users are locked in and aren't going to go anywhere. It makes things worse for those end users, and it gives treats to business customers.
So for Facebook or Google, that's when you realize that since you weren't paying for anything, you were the product being sold. And they both gave you up to data collectors and advertisers, knowing full well you'd made the platforms an essential part of your life.
There's lots of different technical...
Yeah. Found the story about it. Uber CEO Kalanick argues with driver. By the way, would you please your waiters and restaurants the way they deserve to? If I said your tipping culture got way out of control, I'd understate it. Yeah, really, it's absurd. Like there shouldn't be, a tipping culture at all. People should just be paid. People should just be paid living wages. Google, when they used to say, we will never load up ads. The days.
Tricks to lock in users. Like if you're Uber, you can drive all the taxis out of business and cause disinvestment in public transit. If you're Amazon, you can lock people in by getting them to pre-commit to buying a year's worth of shipping in advance with Prime.
Then comes phase three.
Once those business customers are also locked in, it takes away all that surplus and it gives it to itself.
Let's apply that to Uber.
Yeah, exactly. Pay your employees.
They made Uber easy to use, cheap, and readily available. Then started to pay drivers less and overwork them. And now they're finally starting to bring in money. At that time, the vast majority of food orders were still normal orders placed over the phone. Remember that? You'd call the actual pizzeria or Chinese place or whatever, and a guy who worked there would bring you your food. You'd pay him for the food, tip him, and no billionaire middleman was involved. It made sense. But the delivery companies decided to destroy that. Seamless and Grubhub told restaurants their menu prices had to be the same online and in store, so the restaurants couldn't make customers absorb the commission, but also making it so the customer thought delivery apps were cost effective, eliminating whatever competitive advantage that direct ordering had. Then they made a real mob-like move. They bought up domain names of restaurants they did business with so that those restaurants couldn't get their own business online, basically forcing any restaurant that wanted to get business via people Googling them to work with Grubhub. Then came the new delivery thing, what we're really talking about here: Uber Eats and DoorDash. Grubhub was restaurants using their own drivers, but Uber Eats and DoorDash were something new. They had their own gig workers, contractors with no benefits, responsible for their own vehicles, fuel, insurance, going to the restaurants, picking up the orders, and delivering them to customers. And Uber Eats had the power of scale. Everyone had Uber on their phones already, and they just applied the strategy they did originally with cars, making everything impossibly cheap.
They had this surplus, right? They had a ton of money from the capital markets, and they gave it to us, people who wanted to eat dinner. They heavily discounted the food that we got. They paid the restaurants full price, but they charged us less than they were paying. Well, that's a pretty good deal, right? And if that's all they ever did, hell, I'm all for it, right? Let Peter Thiel buy me dinner every night from now until the end of time.
They wanted you hooked, so when they raised prices, you'd keep using their service. Once they'd used their venture capital cash to gain market share, they jacked up prices. Now, most people go to Uber or DoorDash first if they want to order food, meaning restaurants are beholden to the apps too, otherwise no one will order from them. Uber charges restaurants huge fees to be listed on the app, and it's a tiered service, so the more the restaurant pays, the better visibility they have on the app. Meaning when you search Thai food, the top results aren't the highest rated, closest, or anything like that. They're who pays the most. And Uber pushes this marketing service on all of the restaurants, meaning if every Thai restaurant buys the same tier, it becomes meaningless. They're all equal no matter how much they pay. The only entity that wins is Uber Eats.
Right. Uber is the health insurance of the food world. But I tip is I want to keep able to keep eating at the places. Yeah, I mean, like, given that that's the circumstance we live, I'm not going to put that on the worker. I agree with you. US is a capitalist system where all the money should go to 3 to 5 people. Exactly. Like
Everybody
God intended.
gets screwed by the platform in the two-sided market.
And unlike Seamless and Grubhub, menu prices on Uber Eats are often higher in-app than direct from the restaurant, because Uber Eats encourages this to restaurants to offset fees. They openly recommend it. Generally, a middleman, like a distributor, only makes money once. They buy something and sell it to someone else for a profit. Uber Eats makes money off the restaurant and on the exorbitant fees they charge customers. I went through my email and found an old Seamless receipt from 2019. And I made the same exact order on Uber Eats, except the restaurant weirdly doesn't have chicken fried rice anymore, so I just got egg fried rice. Pre-chicken, if you will. It came out to 33% more than it did in 2019, and that's accounting for inflation. Then there's this story about a woman in Seattle getting a single coffee delivered for $25. Yeah, there's a lot of absurdity in that sentence, from the price to the very act of getting a single cup of coffee delivered. This especially bothered me because this was in an article alleging that the high fees were entirely due to new laws in Seattle ensuring delivery workers a fair wage. But it makes sense customers would blame the minimum wage. The delivery apps tell you to. Seattle customers, like New York customers, see regulatory fees for operating expenses, often explicitly blaming requirements put in place to guarantee a minimum hourly pay. The apps could just roll these costs into the existing fees and never tell us what it's for, but they want you to blame the wage laws. In Seattle, the $25 coffee article came during a debate to roll back minimum wage protections. That's a clear attempt by Uber and DoorDash to affect public opinion on the law. Imagine the app had an executive pay fee or a shareholder dividends fee, explaining the real reason you had to pay an extra $6 was to directly hand it to a venture capital billionaire who just really wanted it.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, since you live in Germany, they don't depend on tips, so it's different. Chicken fried rice is just egg fried rice with a little age. But they want more effing money too. Yeah, I muted myself by accident. I got it.
Posted this line about the $25 coffee on Twitter without thinking too much about it, dunking on the customer for being upset about the price. It's an easy villain to paint. A lazy, privileged person complaining that the servant she hired to bring her a single coffee is making too much money. But she's not really the villain. In the greater
Pro
class
streamer
battle,
moment.
She's on the same side as the driver against the venture capital billionaires. It's almost a meme, the guilt you feel when you order Uber Eats when you see all the fees attached. But it's okay to want convenience. Corey was adamant about this after I joked about the $25 coffee on our call.
There's nothing wrong with wanting something that's more convenient, right? Like, I don't think it's a sin to not want to spend your money, and I don't think it's a sin to not want to have to work extra hard to get through your day. The problem is that there's like a false promise, and that false promise then uses investor capital to crowd out the actual viable systems.
People expect convenience today because Silicon Valley billionaires created a false promise of a more convenient world that is affordable. But really, they just set up a system to funnel more of your money to themselves.
Yep.
Innovation is good, and it's okay to make money off of innovation. But what these people are doing is finding parts of everyday life that are working just fine and forcing themselves in as middlemen to transfer even greater wealth to themselves. They did it to dating. The rise of dating apps made it harder to meet people in person because the apps became the new status quo. And now most of these apps charge exorbitant fees to be useful at all. And they're doing it to healthcare, like those bogus telehealth companies where the founders end up in prison. Or these networks that do nothing but connect you to doctors to rip off you and your insurance provider. Or this doctor in a box. Or streaming apps where access to content is easy, but prices keep going up and creator wages keep going down. Or meditation.
Yeah. Like Spotify. I have to switch to Streamlabs on my computer. It's gonna be fun. Streamlabs is not that bad. Most just goes get their own fast food. I do. Instacart crushed all the grocery delivery services too. To be honest, I've only ever ordered food when I was staying in a hotel. Yeah, I mean, we order when we need to.
And prayer apps that are basically adding a middleman to you just sitting quietly and thinking. They want you to pay to access your own mind. We've built a supposedly utopian tech economy around the same issues that plagued all of previous industry.
The Apple II Plus went on shelves the year Ronald Reagan hit the campaign trail for his first presidential run, right? These are two factors that have grown up at the same time. So all of the policies that define neoliberalism, weak labor protection, weak antitrust protection, and so on, get more extreme as tech gets bigger. The capital markets did not open the sluice gates to funding them until it became clear that you can cheat the labor laws by saying it's not a labor violation, we did it with an app. You can cheat privacy and say it's not a privacy violation, we did it with an app. You can cheat consumer rights and say it's not a rip-off, it's not a bait and switch, we did it with an app.
And what are they really even providing? It comes down to two things: supposedly innovative technology and scale. But now that innovation is broadly available, anyone could build a simple app like Uber's or DoorDash's, so it's just about scale. It doesn't have to be this way. Without us, from which the venture capital billionaires derive value, they have nothing. Order directly from restaurants that will let you. Get pickup from the ones that won't. Support worker power movements like Los Deliveristas Unidos, the New York-based collective of delivery drivers working to seize back power from the venture capitalists.
Nice.
Encourage the government to fight app monopolies like Lina Khan's FTC. And don't believe the apps when they try to turn us against each other. When you see a driver minimum wage fee, don't blame the driver. Blame the executives and venture capitalists whose fees show up nowhere on your receipt. Thank you so much for watching.
True.
And if you want to support more journalism like this, please.
True. To know something that was common in pizzerias in the 50s was innovation in 2015s. All right, folks. What exactly do leftists want in terms of politics? That's a silly question. Venture capital is ruining everything since they first existed. Correct. All right, folks. This one's a pretty rough story. Hey, how come it doesn't work? Hello? Does it not work? I guess not. Does anything else work? Well, I guess the bot went to sleep. In any case, this story is pretty horrific. So, content warning. I kind of wish the taxpayer money was spent correctly. Yeah, like we should have universal health care. Why spend trillions of dollars to other countries when America's full of drugs, poverty, and crime? I don't know about that. I know the poverty part is true, but as we've explained to you several times, crime is on the decline. And if you actually care about any of these issues, then you should be supporting left-wing politics. You should be supporting things like universal health care. You should be supporting things like universal education. Why do you think people are in poverty? Because of capitalism. You should be supporting policies that make sure people have food, housing, education, healthcare. And if you don't support policies like that, then you actually don't give a fuck. It's absolutely because of capitalism. What economic system are we under? DUIs and integrity concerns. What we know about the deputy who murdered Sonia Massey. How do I get rid of this? There we go. As vigils and rallies crop up in cities across the U.S. in the wake of the murder of Sonia Massey, records and account detailing in the media reports have shed new light on years-long history of alleged people are in poverty due to drugs, crime, and bad policies. Because of capitalism. Like, this just doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? And again, if you care about any of these issues, then you would be supporting policies that ensure that people have food, housing, education, and healthcare. If you don't support any of those policies, like universal healthcare for one, then you truly do not give a fuck. How do you get people out of poverty? Remove the drugs. No. In order for you to help people, you need to go to the root of the problem. Okay? The root of the problem here is socioeconomic. If you don't want to deal with that, fuck off. It's that simple. If you don't want to deal with it, fuck off. You're just vaguely gesturing at stuff. If you don't want actual solutions, then just fuck off. It's that simple. Records and accounts detailed in media reports have shed new light on the years-long history of alleged misconduct of the former deputy charged with murder in the case, from multiple DUI arrests to alleged lying, deception, and harassment. Sean Grayson fatally shot 36-year-old Massey at her home, where he and other deputies were responding to a 911 call about a possible intruder on July 6. While Grayson did not turn his body-worn camera until after he shot Massey, the other deputy's body camera captured the incident on video. The footage sparked national outrage, renewed calls for police reform, and has stirred memories of the killings of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. Grayson, 30, was fired from his post after he was indicted on multiple charges, including murder. He has pleaded not guilty and remains in jail without bond. An attorney representing Grayson did not immediately respond to USA Today's request to comment about Grayson's DUIs and alleged misconduct. And very horrible. On Tuesday, a ruling is expected on the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council's grievance over Grayson's firing. Fuck these people. The council is seeking to reinstate Grayson, reimburse him for lost wages, and restore his benefits, claiming he was terminated without just cause. Man. Here's what we know so far about Grayson's time in the Army and about half a dozen law enforcement agencies in central Illinois. Grayson was discharged from the Army after misconduct, described only as a serious offense, according to his personal file obtained by the State Journal Register, part of USA Today's network. While Grayson was in the Army, he was charged with driving under the influence in August 10 of 2015 in Girard, Illinois, about 40 minutes southwest of Springfield. Online records list Grayson's address as Fort Junction, Kansas. Grayson was stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas, among other places. Grayson's former first sergeant, in writing a recommendation letter for him for a job at the Auburn Police Department, noted that aside from Mr. Grayson's DUI, there was no other issues that he had during his tenure at the U.S. Army. An Army spokesperson said in an unsigned email to U.S. Today that discharge information cannot be released, saying it would violate federal privacy law. The spokesperson added that Grayson served in the regular Army from May of 2014 to February of 2016, and only obtained the second most junior rank, private first class. Instead of billionaires getting an extra $2 bill a year, $2 billion a year, we can actually pay their workers, pay their safety workers that they don't even pay a livable wage. Right. Less than a year, on July 26 of 2016, Grayson was charged with a second DUI, according to online records. He pleaded guilty in both cases, records show. Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell, in a statement emailed last week, said the sheriff's office understood the serious misconduct reference in Grayson's Army personal file was a DUI. Asked on employment applications for the Auburn Police Department if he had ever been convicted of or charged with or was currently waiting trial for any crime greater than that of a minor traffic offense, to include driving while intoxicated, Grayson answered, "No, I've only been arrested and charged for DUI." Lying, abuse of power during previous law enforcement stints. Grayson worked at 6 different law enforcement agencies in 4 years, according to his personal file and the Illinois Law Enforcement Training Standards Board. During his first year as an officer, Grayson bounced around 3 central Illinois police departments in Pawnee, Kincaid, and Verdun. His time at several of the agencies overlapped as he worked part-time before obtaining his first full-time position with the Auburn Police Department. Like, that's absurd how this guy was able to be a police officer that long. In May of 2022, Grayson went to the Logan County Sheriff's Office before he was hired by the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office a year later. While at the Logan County Sheriff's Office, the supervising officer rebuked Grayson for allegedly lying in reports and showing a general lack of integrity. Like, how is this guy, like, that would have been it. Like, done. Finito. According to a recording obtained by CBS News. The sheriff and I will not tolerate lying or deception, the officer can be heard telling Grayson, later adding, "Officers like you have been charged and they end up in jail." Grayson was also accused of abusing his power and harassing a couple he pulled over and arrested during a traffic stop, CBS reported, citing a disciplinary file from Logan County Sheriff's Office. The file noted that allegations by the couple against Grayson were deemed unfounded. Girard Police Chief Wayman Meredith told CBS that last year Grayson pressured him to call child services on a woman outside the home of Grayson's mother. Meredith described Grayson as steaming mad, and he flagged the incident to the Logan County Sheriff's Office. Dan anonymously subscribing with a tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. 3 months. I appreciate that. I was listening to the stream during my drive home. I can't handle the news without your help. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm glad I can do that. Quote, he was acting like a bully, Meredith told the outlet, speaking about Grayson. He wanted me to do stuff that was not kosher. The Sangamon County Sheriff's Office said in a statement that it was not provided with any information regarding Grayson's alleged dishonesty or misconduct during his time at Logan County Sheriff's Office. We were not provided any such information from Grayson's former employers nor from any crediting agency. We cannot comment on whether the information is accurate or why was it not shared by another agency. Because these thugs protect themselves. The Sangamon County Sheriff's Office did, however, know about Grayson's 2 DUI arrests when they hired him. In a statement, the agency said Grayson was certified for hire by a commission as well as the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board, both of which knew about the drunk driving convictions. Before serving as a Sangamon county deputy, Grayson also passed a drug test, criminal background check, a psychological evaluation, and graduated from a 16-week training academy. The Logan County Sheriff's Office did not immediately respond for a request for comment. Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell has faced intense scrutiny, including from Massey's family, for his decision to hire Grayson. Campbell on Monday said he would not step down despite the fervent calls for him to do so. At a packed call of about 300 people, Campbell told the audience that he and his agency failed Massey and his family and her family and asked for forgiveness. Sonia Massey, I will say her name and never forget her, Campbell told the crowd on Monday. I cannot imagine the pain that her family and friends feel right now. I'm sorry we did not do our jobs. Yeah, dude, well, you know what? Sorry is not good enough. Okay? Sorry is not good enough. All these institutions, the boys club, etc., need to be dismantled and rebuilt from the ground up. I agree. I agree. This is so gross. I know he's being charged with murder, and rightfully so. But that's not going to bring... That's not going to bring Sonia Massey back. There has to be a fundamental restructuring, reorganization from the ground up when it comes to policing so that things like this don't happen. Right? Things like this don't happen. And unfortunately, the necessary actions are not going to be taken by the police. They're not going to do it themselves. They're not going to be the ones to take that initiative. If it hasn't been done decades ago, it certainly doesn't feel like anything is going to be done now. It has to be something that is legislated. And that's definitely something that has to be legislated and taken from the ground up. If the police was trained better, there would be fewer incidents for sure. It's not training. It's not the police training. It's the culture, and it's the core of what the police believe in here. That is fundamentally rotten. And that needs to be done away with, essentially. We forgot about movie night again, but we could try this Saturday. I'll see if I can find the Hillbilly Elegy movie. Oh, shoot! That is a good point. Well, this weekend, I completely forgot because I was still working on that. My brain has been fried from that cram session I did. But yeah, absolutely. I think if it's on Netflix, I can just stream it. I know it sounds bad, but I hope he gets thrown in prison and his cell block gets told that he's an officer and he isn't in prison for shooting an innocent lady, but instead for doing something with a kid, so he gets the treatment he deserves as a person. Well, cops generally aren't treated well in prison. And I would imagine a cop in there for murdering a woman wouldn't be treated favorably. So as we talked about yesterday, one major aspect as a police officer in the U.S., you need to consider anyone as armed before proven otherwise. Right, but not everybody. But like that doesn't take away the mentality. That doesn't take away the mentality that like they're not there as police officers. You know what I mean? Not everybody you stop is a criminal. And not every interaction with the public, your default status shouldn't be like, oh, someone's going to kill me in this interaction. Anyways. So as we were talking about earlier, Donald Trump repeats the controversial "you won't have to vote anymore" claim. It doesn't get any better, folks. Donald Trump on Monday repeated this his weekend. Right, exactly. This is him doubling down, Cralio. Exactly. Repeated this on Monday. Remarks to Christian summit attendees that they would never have to vote again if he returns to the presidency in November. But right after being asked repeatedly on Fox News to clarify what he meant, the Republican former president denied threatening to permanently stay in office beyond the second and constitutionally mandated final 4-year term. Yeah, if you don't want to protect and serve, you shouldn't be an officer. During an initial remarks made on Friday, which caused outrage and alarm among his critics, Trump told the crowd to get out and vote. Just this time, adding that he wouldn't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed, it'll be fine, and you won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. My beautiful Christians. But again, why wouldn't they have to vote anymore? Right? Democrats and other critics called the remarks terrifying, authoritarian, and anti-democratic. And Monday, in a new interview with the Fox News host Laura Ingraham, the former president attempted to explain what he meant. Quote, that statement is simple. I said, vote for me, you're not going to have to do it again. It's true because we have to get the vote out. Christians are not known as a big voting group. They don't vote, and I'm explaining to them, you never vote. This time, vote. I'll straighten out the country. You won't have to vote anymore, and I won't need your vote anymore, so you can go back to not voting. Oh, yeah, that makes it much better. Hey, listen, you sheep, okay? I need to fleece you one last time, okay? Obviously, not everyone's a criminal, but how many law-abiding citizens are still gun owners? A lot. There's a ton. Do you know how many guns there are in this country? There are more guns than people in this country. Richard Potato. Ingram pointed out that many Democrats had interpreted his comment over the weekend to mean that there would never be another election again. Trump responded that he had not heard that and continues to talk about how lots of Christians tend not to vote. Okay, but hello? What do you mean? Christians do not vote well. They vote in small percentages. Why? I don't know. Maybe they're disappointed in things that are happening. Trump continued to say, if you don't vote, I'm saying go out and you must vote. But that's not what was being said here. You have to vote in the November 5th election. Trump continued, calling it the most important presidential race in U.S. history. After that, you don't have to worry about voting anymore. I don't care because we're going to fix it. The country will be fixed. We won't even need your vote anymore because, frankly, we will have such love. Such love. What do you mean? If the country is fixed and you don't need their votes anymore, why wouldn't you need their votes? If the next person, since you can't run, allegedly, will need to continue that, right? Trump will stop fleecing the people once they run out of merch from his funeral. America's 36 million to 100 people is the current number listed. There's a umpteenth amount, an ungodly, an unnecessary amount of guns in this country. So yes, there are a lot of law. There's a lot of legal, in terms of the law, gun owners. We're gonna fix it. The elections, exactly. And we will have such love, and I think everybody understood it. And I'm impressed the former president asked him, but you will leave the office after 4 years, of course. Yeah, by the way, I did last time. Yeah, after inciting an insurrection. Neither Ingram nor Trump mentioned that after Joe Biden won the presidential race, his supporters attacked the Capitol in the insurrection in an attempt to prevent Congress from certifying the electoral defeat. A spokesperson for Trump's campaign at Bruce told Washington Post that the former president on Friday was talking about uniting the country and bringing prosperity to every American, as opposed to the divisive political environment that has sowed so much division that it led to the July 13th attempt on Trump's life. Yeah, whatever. The only people sowing division is these freaks. Even those law-abiding citizens will attack a police officer, but the officer has to know about the gun when that citizen is controlled and in traffic control. Not always, unless it's pertinent to the stop. Not always. They don't need to, and they can't ask what you have, because that's none of their business. If you're being stopped for if you're being pulled over for running a stop sign, they have no business to ask you about anything else other than giving you a ticket and moving on. Trump's remark on Friday came about 2 months after he apparently flirted with the idea of being president for 3 terms at the annual National Rifle Association and convention in Dallas. Right, so this isn't an outrageous freaking thought, right? To say okay, this dude keeps talking about being in power for way longer than constitutionally allowed. Right? He alluded to how Franklin Roosevelt was in the White House for 3 full terms and died at the beginning of a fourth from 1933 to 1945. Yeah, okay, those were different circumstances. Second of all, you are not FDR. FDR for almost 16 years, he was 4 terms. I don't know how we're going to consider. Are we going to consider 3 terms, 1 term, or 2 term? Trump said, prompting the crowd to yell 3. Well, you can't have 3 terms. That's not how this works. The 22nd Amendment to the Constitution, enacted in 1951, now limits the president to 2 4-year terms. I'm telling you, they can try to play it off, but they can try to play it off, but no. I take this very seriously, considering his past remarks. We found more information, or rather, I should say, more information was revealed about the would-be assassin, and would you look at that? You'll never believe what the FBI found. I always assumed you're required to tell a police officer when you're carrying something which could potentially harm him. Not always. You gotta really be. You have to be in a certain state, because state laws may vary. So that's not always the case. That was my point. The Constitution also said no insurrectionists. That's right. U.S. Secret Service chief blames Trump's security lapse on local police. Wait, no, this isn't it. I think I've already gone through this one. Uh-oh. Where was this article? I don't think this one was it. Because I've seen this one. They try to blame it on local police. But this is not the article that I want. The day after he attempted, an old police officer said, based on what happened, it was the local uni's fault. Yeah, folks, the lights are kind of flickering, so... Yep, there they go. The lights are kind of flickering, so I'm going to run through this as fast as possible. From what I heard, the Secret Service failed at their job. Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, that's what happened. So, yeah. Hoisin sauce to my dinner, so good. Yeah, the power looks kind of iffy, so I'm gonna speed this along. So the article that I actually wanted was, hey, we found more information on the shooter, on the would-be assassin, and you guessed it, folks. He was a Nazi. He was posting anti-Semitic shit, extreme right-wing stuff, in the social medias. So yeah, surprise, 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 surprise. The would-be assassin was posting Nazi shit. Was posting anti-Semitic shit. Not again. Yeah, it's flickering. So and it's thundering out there. So I'm gonna try to just speedrun this. We had a massive thunderstorm last night up in here. Yeah, no, this is looking. Oof. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna finish this one here. So I brought these two articles to point out why Shapiro shouldn't be the vice president nominee, because of the ties, because of the corporate ties. I'm so surprised. However, then I read the Secret Service detail for foreign president consists of way fewer people, which might not have required them to set priorities. Yeah, no, but they definitely effed up. They definitely effed up. New York City wise person, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Shapiro's VP? No, I was trying to make the point as to why he shouldn't be VP, because of his policies. Oh, I'm sorry. Ben Shapiro. Oh, I just read the comment again. Josh Shapiro. My bad. So yeah, you should definitely not be the VP. Pennsylvania governor defended his support for aggressive corporate tax cuts, a position that could rankle some of his fellow Democrats, but which won him support for the state's business community. Don't care for that. Quote, we need to have a more advantageous tax environment for our businesses, and it was one component of an overall strategy in order to grow jobs and create more wealth for the few. So yeah. Yeah, I wonder what got you banned in Lumi Rouge's channel, because they are one of the chillest people on the planet. VP for Harris should be a machine. Because it would be whatever. I don't know. Anyways, we gotta go, folks. It keeps coming in. The power keeps coming in and out. So, yep. Oh, there it goes. Look at that. Power's out. All right, folks. Well, you're just going to have to deal with a frozen picture of myself. And that's just the way it's going to be. Folks, I got to get out of here. It is time. Thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate it. The power is out. And the only thing keeping the stream alive is a battery backup. Yeah, new merch, folks. Check it out. ! Merch. It's really good. Like, I'm actually super proud. Super proud of that. The new merch. I appreciate it. Thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate it. Thank you, Heath. Thank you, Michael Hester, for modding the chat. It is what it is. But we'll be back. I appreciate it. Thank you all for stopping by. Join the Discord. Check out the merch store. I appreciate it. As always, we'll be back tomorrow. Thank you all. Thank you all. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Sorry, no outro music. I just gotta skedaddle. Thank you all. Bye bye. Phew. Man, what a freaking way to end the stream, folks. Give me a second. What a way to end the stream. Hang tight, everybody. All right, folks, we're heading out. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.